Hello, friends. My name is Aslam Sheikh, your host for this evening. I'm the founder and CEO of Aleph, a platform to promote a global perspective of education and career. This is our 34th webinar series and broadcasted live on Facebook and YouTube channel. Every Friday, we aim to bring in the valuable speakers to discuss the topic that is important for you and for your career. For the benefit of our new viewers, let me quickly introduce you who we are and what we do. So I'm quickly sharing my screen, and I hope that you'll be able to see the introduction of the Aleph. Well, our company name is Aleph. Aleph is the first letter in Arabic and Urdu language, which signifies the beginning. And since most of our students begins a new journey abroad for higher education, and hence that's the reason why we kept this name. This is our core team in the organization. We have got 14 members. Our company was established in 2008. We have counseled over 23,000 students so far. We maintain healthy 100% admission ratio to our universities, which we represent in India, and 95% visa success ratios. We represent the universities from across 14 plus countries. Our company is affiliated to ISEF, WEBA, which are the international bodies in our domain, and we also received some of the awards. We were happy to receive the awards in this year in the COVID time, being the 10 most recommended overseas education consultants by the Insight Success. What we promise to our students is 100% guaranteed to the admissions to the university. We accept their application. These are some of the universities where our students are studying across different parts of the world. We also help our students to get the scholarship. Until 2019, we had 23 crore rupees of scholarship awarded to our students by different university partners under various scholarship heads. These are some of our recipients of the scholarships, and it could be as low as $1,000 to as high as 100% tuition fee waiver. We offer the career counseling to students for those kids who are not sure what they want to do in their life. And we also offer the IELTS coaching, which is almost compulsory for almost all the colleges or universities where you want to go and study. We also won a Silver Partner Award from the British Council. In terms of study abroad, right from study profiling to finding the accommodation and in between everything, we cover in terms of our services to our students. These are some of the countries across a different continent we represent in Europe, North America, Middle East, and Asia Pacific. Apart from the normal services, we also offer the edge out services to our students who are unfamiliar about the cross-culture, the different cultures in the different countries, the basic etiquettes, the digital profiling of the resume, etc., just to help them to settle abroad comfortably. We also maintain 95% student satisfaction ratio. Probably the reason why is that we visit them personally in most of the cases. We have got a good followership on all these major social media channels. We organize or participate different international and local events for the university promotions, as well as for the students to come and interact with the universities directly. Some of our counselors visiting our students in Switzerland, Dubai, me visiting to students in US and France. So this is just to give you the example. We have got the student success stories, like students from us who studied from State University of New York and now settled in New Jersey as a successful MS graduates in electrical engineering. And also a student from Mumbai who joined a university in Ireland and now settled with Dell Technologies and working there as a senior executive. Well, about me, I've counseled 1,000 plus students personally, been to 14 plus countries, and I'm a certified consultant by ISEF WEBA. I'm also the ex-president of BNI Plus chapter, which is the world's largest networking group coming from USA. So that's about our organization. Before we formally begin the session, so if you are a subject expert in watching this show and would like to come on our show to share your insight and experience, please feel free to email to me at aslam@aleph.in. So let's formally begin today's topic. And today's topic is very exciting, and many inquiries, queries, questions, and comments have already been received by students and parents. And topic is training careers in cybersecurity. To discuss this exciting subject, we have with us our expert panel of speakers. So let me do the honor of introducing them. Let me introduce our first speaker, Ms. Pallavi Sharma. Hello, Pallavi.
Hi, good evening, Aslam.
Good evening. Thank you, Pallavi, for joining us. Pallavi is the Regional Advisor, Southeast Asia of Tiffin University, US. She has over 16 years of total work experience, along with 7 years in the education industry. She worked with UK and US education institutes. Prior to this, she was working in IT industry giants like Wipro, HCL, and Birlasoft. Switching to the international education was a conscious choice based on the student engagement as a part of experience as a teacher early in her career. Pallavi is also a sports enthusiast and believe in holistic development of a student. Thank you, Pallavi, for joining the show.
It's a pleasure, Aslam. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I'll come back to you soon. Let me do the honor of introducing our next speaker from US, Mr. Scott. Hello, Scott. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, good.
Excellent, excellent.
Scott is a seasoned physical, cyber, and international security professional. He is the CISO and executive director of the Center for Cyber Defense and Forensic at Tiffin University, which is an NSA Center of Academics Excellence. He serves on NATO's Combined Joint Operation for the Sea Center of Excellence Maritime Security Information Sharing Working Group. He also chairs the Ohio Cyber Collaboration Committee's governance subcommittee, and he is the chief technology officers for Ohio Cyber Women. He has authorized numerous publications on cybersecurity and consults on cybersecurity, physical security policies, and investigation. Thank you, Scott, for joining us.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you very much. And let me do the honor of introducing our next industry speaker, Mr. Jaipal. Hello, Jaipal.
Hi, Aslam.
Thank you for your time, Jaipal. Jaipal is a Vice President, Cybersecurity of Atos. Jaipal is a technology professional with over 25 years of experience handling diverse roles in various organizations. For the last 10 years of his career, he has been in the cybersecurity domain, building businesses in India and Southeast Asia. Currently, he works with Atos, a 12 billion euro technology leader, driving their cybersecurity business for the India West region. Thank you, Jaipal, for joining us. I'll come back.
Thank you, Aslam. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Okay, so viewers, if you have any questions as we progress further, and if you have any comments, please do write into the comment box, and we'll be more than happy to have answered by one of our expert speakers. Let's formally begin this session. And friends, before I begin formally, let me introduce you some interesting data which would be very encouraging, especially for the students, parents, or the school principals who are listening to us. So India is the second largest internet user base, which we know, and it is estimated around 560 million internet users. So that makes us the second largest internet user in the world. And in fact, Niti Aayog, the think tank policy of the Indian government, estimated that number to increase by 730 million users. Now let's see what happens. Now the cyber crime damages cost, which is estimated, is around $6 trillion annually. And that is increased from $3 trillion from 2015. So I hope that you get the context what I'm trying to give these figures for. So we have got the larger internet base, but we also have experienced the cyber crimes which are damaging the organization, the peoples who are involved online. So that's the risk which we are taking as a user, and this is the reason why cybersecurity comes into picture. So let's try to understand that what is this cybersecurity is all about. And let me have in the room Mr. Scott joining us. Scott, we have got a very interesting data from the internet users point of view, and we would like to first know from you that let's just talk about the Center for Cyber Defense and Forensic at the University of Tiffin. I would like to understand what it is all about at a very layman language point of view, and what is the significance of having USA in the whole picture?
Okay. So one of the things that I like to start off with at the center is, and I like the word holistic that was used earlier to describe my colleague, but the center is basically designed to sort of support security holistically. My background is physical and cybersecurity. I was a law enforcement officer for a number of years. So I understand threats, and I understand physical security, and that's a very good transition into cybersecurity. So the mission of the center is to be sort of an outreach to the community to help them with understand cybersecurity, number one, and a place for the students to actually do hands-on work where they get to actually, maybe review log data or look at an incident happening in real time. They get to do pen testing, attack, defense, those kinds of things. So the center, and we also work a lot with NATO and Department of Homeland Security and stuff. So we're working on Homeland Security, international security issues in the context of cybersecurity, if that makes sense. So.
Yes, it does, definitely. Thank you very much for giving us that brief background, what you just mentioned. Would you also like to throw some lights on to the significance of US in terms of a cybersecurity from the student's point of view?
Right. So the United States has about 800,000 cyber jobs open right now. Certainly COVID-19 had a huge impact on the number of cybersecurity professionals needed because we all transferred to home. So that opened up a whole new attack surface. And I think the United States obviously is a cyber player, both offensively and defensively, in the power balance that's currently going on. The significant cyber players right now, probably US, Israel, China, and Russia are the main significance. And then, that you have a sort of a second tier that are down there. And the reason that the US is so interested in cyber is because it's very low entry cost for warfare. We don't have to build tanks and battleships and things like that. We can grab a laptop and cause all sorts of damage inside the country. So infrastructure protection is probably one of the bigger areas. And then, whoever owns the information, wins the day. So that's the other part, I think, why the US is so interested in it. And I have employers call me every day about, do I have anybody graduating that might be able to fill this role or that role? And unfortunately, a lot of times I have to say no because they're already taken.
Right, absolutely. As the world is moving to very rapidly towards being online, I believe that's where the security comes into picture, and you're absolutely right that there is a huge increase in the job prospects in this particular industry. Thank you, Scott, and I'll come back to you for another point. Okay, meantime, let's have Jaipal. Jaipal, you represent one of the cybersecurity leaders in your industry. So from a students' understanding and parents' understanding point of view who are watching you and listening to you, we would like to understand in a simple language, how do I understand what is cybersecurity is all about, and why it is needed, and what is the need, and how do I see that how the career is going to be in this particular line?
Sure. Thanks, Aslam. So the key thing is cybersecurity is all about securing your digital assets. Okay. Typically of an enterprise. Now, an enterprise has a lot of servers, applications, network devices, and a whole lot of thing, of course, users also. So it's all about securing the digital assets primarily of an organization. While it is relevant for individuals, like you mentioned, a whole lot of users actually logging into the internet. So it's important that you protect the individuals also. But of course, the field is more all about securing enterprises. Why is it needed? I think your statistics do a lot of talking. It's all about the threats that the enterprise face. When we say threats, we're not just talking about external threats. I'm saying that is, of course, a large proportion of the threats are external, and but there's also a lot of internal threats within the organization, which is something that they need to keep watching out for. Analysts, in fact, say it's roughly around about 20 to 25% of the attacks actually originate from within the organization.
Right.
Knowingly or unknowingly. So those are very critical components. So you need to build sufficient controls to ensure that you are protected.
Right, that's absolutely correct. So it's not only the external threats, it's also the internal threats which
Absolutely,
the organization needs to be taking care of. Thank you, Jaipal. That was a really short, crisp, and to the point. Okay, let's move to Pallavi now. Pallavi, you've been into the education industry for last over 7 years. And gladly you are promoting this important subjects for the students who are looking for a futuristic career. What is your advice if a student is listening to you, or the school principals and colleges are listening to you? Why should they look at Tiffin University for this particular program?
Right. Aslam, I totally believe in the best fit for a student. I am a very strong promoter of finding a best fit as a school or as a student. So when a university really chooses a student, we choose the best fit for our school. And in the same way, I feel that the student should be looking at those aspects, those are important for them personally, not really going through an overall, view. One of the things that we definitely look at is the academics of the students, because we really have those kind of programs wherein the student have to prove the academic excellence. Now, I'll just quickly tell you about Tiffin. Tiffin University is a very old university. It was built in 1888, and we started as a business school. So yes, our main forte was initially into business programs, but we developed it into three different areas: arts and sciences, business, and criminal justice. While we're talking about the criminal justice and cyber defense programs, the credentials of any university really matters a lot in this particular area. And I personally advise these students to really look at those credentials when they're choosing a particular school. So while Scott would really talk about more credentials in a while, I can tell you the basics that the student should look for, when they're choosing. I think they should look for their affordability. That's a very important factor, because if you're an academically sound student, you may get into the school very easily. But to sustain in the country and to be able to manage your funds properly is equally important. Um, Sometimes the locations are very critical for these students. For example, we are a suburban campus, so some students feel more comfortable at the while the others may want to really be in a larger city or average looking city in the US. So that is another factor that would work well for the students to look for. So I think these are the overall points that the students should keep in mind when they are looking for a school.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. So, students, the university is established over 100 years ago, and it has got a beautiful campus over the suburban side. So, if you really want to have the university campus lifestyle, and this is the campus to go for. Thank you very much, Pallavi, and I'll come back to you soon for the next point.
Sure.
Okay, let's move to Scott. I'm sure that now, by understanding the basics of the university and cybersecurity as a subject, you would all want to be very curious to know that how the student life progresses within the university. So, Scott, we would like to have your advice for the students, that what kind of opportunities students would be expecting as a student being at your campus, and what kind of exposure he would be getting in through the campuses.
Okay, so on our campus, one of the things that we do, and especially through the center, is project-based learning. Basically, we use the mastery concept. So that means that you can fail 7 times, but if you get it right on the 8th time, then that's what your grade is based on. Because I firmly believe that failure isn't failure. It's a made-up academic term. It's the first attempt in learning, is the way we like to describe it. So that's one of the, and then the other part I think is the hands-on type of activities that we do with we have a very robust lab now. I think we've got a couple of servers in there that we have 2 enterprise class servers, I know, sitting in there. And we have a separate network from Tiffin University so that we can use all the various tools and things like that folks in cybersecurity use without impacting our network. As far as we have a lot of extra time in the cyber lab itself, we have a cyber lab. I have a grad assistant that if a student wants to come in and practice or do whatever it is they want to do, they are more than welcome, anytime to come into the cyber lab. It's a resource for the student. We're very student centered at Tiffin University. And in particular, myself, I usually spend, we had a significant population of Saudi students. Over the past 5 years, I've probably graduated around 100 maybe. So I spend a lot of time, especially with foreign students, to assist them, in acclimating to just life in the US, and then also, the programmatic stuff that we do.
Okay, that's nice. That's good to know about the university and the advanced lab it has for the students to experiment and then experience what they're learning from the classrooms. Thank you, Scott. Let me have a Jaipal from the industry. Jaipal, I've got another piece of information whereby I just was going through the information of Kaspersky Security Network reports, and they mentioned that India has experienced a 37% rise in cyber attacks in the first quarter of 2020, when we not even enter into the official lockdown. So it certainly highlights the opportunity and also the big risk which we all are exposed to. On the same note, I would like to take your opinion that how do you see the industry growth and scope and opportunities for the graduates when they graduate from universities across the world, or like taking the example of Tiffin, for as a matter of fact, for bachelor's or master's level?
Yeah. So Aslam, the cybersecurity as a field is a very vast field. I'm saying there's a lot of opportunities, a lot of streams out there within cybersecurity. Okay, and what we are experiencing today is a serious demand supply issue, where there is a lot of requirement for good professionals around cybersecurity, but the supply side or the graduates, the number of graduates are very, very minimal. So that's a big thing. I'm saying I've been in the cybersecurity field for just over 10 years now, and I've experienced this. I'm saying increasingly, I'm saying particularly over the last 3 to 4 years, we are seeing a huge gap of good professionals who can actually manage things much more efficiently. So there is a big supply demand gap, which is where universities like Tiffin will really play a good role. And and that is where I think the students need to kind of focus on. And cybersecurity is a great field to be in. Like I said, there's a whole lot of areas that they can actually do. They can work, they can study, they can specialize in. Two key areas that is of great interest to us, and something that I see trending is, one is of course around cloud security, which is really getting a lot of attention and a lot of requirements, because a lot of our enterprise clients are moving towards the cloud, and
Right.
securing the cloud becomes a very critical component. So those of you who are actually planning to kind of get into adopt a career in cybersecurity, cloud could be a very good area to actually focus on. Another area, a very budding area, but with huge potential, is something around operational technology security, securing operational infrastructure, your industrial control systems, and all this. So these are two key areas. I'm saying we are in need of great number of industrial control engineers and with cybersecurity background, or some of those kind of skill sets. And that is where I think. See, it's all about you starting now. You're going to be graduating probably in next 4 to 5 years or so, and what will be relevant at that point of time. I think that's the trend that you need to look at, and then take that particular route, and then start specializing in certain specific areas. Did I answer all your questions, Aslam, or is there anything that I
Yes,
kind of missed out?
in fact, I have one question here. Like you mentioned, the cloud security and operation technology security. So there are different types of areas within the cybersecurity. You mean to say? So
Yeah,
cybersecurity
absolutely. Yeah.
then gets divided into these
Oh
areas.
yes, these are just the two. Just two. I'm saying there could be, well, around about a number of such areas, probably around about 15, 16 areas, which core areas. I'm saying which you could specialize on. I just took these two because, let me say, that's where I have a huge supply side issue, or I don't have very strong guys, and I see these two areas as something that will really grow as we move forward.
Right.
Because more and more, I'm saying today we have seen a lot of data center security guys and networking guys and application testing, all very, very, very important. And so it will continue to be required. But in terms of where will you be able to maximize your investments when it comes to education, I think these are the areas where we would look at.
Absolutely, very relevant point, Jepal, you made. So, students, these are the two very recommended areas out of the odd 15 or plus areas within the cybersecurity. So, cloud security and the operation technology security, as per the Jepal's recommendation, could be the areas which you would want to look at. And a very valid point, what also Jepal made, is that you also need to keep in mind that how the technology is getting evolved over the period of time. So, by the time you graduate, that also makes a lot of very valid point that you connect with that type of technology which would be existing, over the period of time. And I'm sure the university like Tiffin's or any other good university who is very strong, which has got very strong industry connection, would help you to get yourself updated and upgraded with their updated technology stuffs at the campuses, so make you be employable. Thank you, Jaipal. It was a very valid point. So on this point, I'm moving further. I would like to have Pallavi. Pallavi, now we have understood certain areas which are in demand, and now we want to take a next step. So, for example, if a student wants to move further in this particular area and wants to take admission into your university, so what is your advice? What's the eligibility criteria for the students to come onto the campus?
Right. So there are two areas that we're talking about. One is the undergrad admission and the other is the grad admission. So obviously the requirements are very different for each level. But for the undergrad students, Tiffin University specifically is test optional. However, my generic advice to the students is always consider giving all the tests required for the US education as such. But for Tiffin, we do not require the SATs. What we require is your academic excellence, which is measured with the GPA. So our minimum GPA requirement is 2.5. And the other part that we look at is the English proficiency test, which can be IELTS, TOEFL, or nowadays we are accepting ITEP after the COVID really happened in the world. So because students were not able to go out for IELTS and TOEFL, so we allowed ITEP, which is the English proficiency test online. We do not accept Duolingo, which is a very common question that I get from the students for the English proficiency. So neither for the undergrad nor for the grads, we do not accept Duolingo. It doesn't meet our English proficiency requirements. So these are the two basic requirements that we have from the students. For the grads, however, we need a little bit of a higher GPA, which is 3.0, and English proficiency requirements remains the same for undergrad and grad both. For the grad students, we also require your statement of purpose, wherein we definitely want to know what are you really planning to do with this degree, what is your future plan, and obviously a little bit of a background, along with a professional resume, because we really want to know about your work experience, if at all you have any work experience, although we do not really require a work experience for a grad program. So these are the basic requirements.
Thank you very much. I think it's a very straightforward for the students, and it's a big relief for many students because after graduation, many or after 12th, they don't want to appear for another test and they don't want to go through the exam pattern, etc. So that's a big relief for the students who wants to come after 12th. Yeah, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing. So for the students who have given SATs, sometimes if they qualify the English language section very well, we may exempt the IELTS or TOEFL requirements for them. So it is not that that test is going to go waste for them. We can still utilize that score, but they have to have sufficient score in the language section.
Okay, that's a very valid point. So students, if you are already enrolled into a SAT or have already appeared for the exams, and if you have got a good results for the English section, so that can be considered by the university to exempt you from IELTS or TOEFL requirement. But otherwise, the other requirements are there in front of you in the comment box, and I think it's very straightforward for you to look at. And GPA requirement is quite reasonable. I'm sure that many students would be interested to try out the bachelor's or at the master's level at your university. So thank you, Pallavi, for that. So friends, let's have Scott in the room along with Pallavi. And Scott, now we understood the minimum requirement. We would like you to take us to the next level, whereby we would want to see that what kind of classroom experience or exposure a student would have while studying.
Okay, one thing that I want to say about the requirements real quick, and I'll also talk about the two areas mentioned earlier just briefly, is that we don't require you to have significant math scores to get into cybersecurity. We firmly believe that there's room for everyone in cybersecurity. So if you're a history major, you like history, you like gaming, whatever the case may be, there's a place for you in cybersecurity. You don't have to be a math genius take 5 levels of calculus to succeed in the field. So one of the things that I do in the classroom, especially, we work a lot in the maritime industry, which transports about 90% of the goods worldwide. So if the maritime industry goes down, then that means that, people aren't eating and, cars aren't shipping, things like that. That's a good blend of IT, OT. So traditional IT, internet, that kind of thing. OT technology then is your operational technology, and that's what ships and ports are run on. So we do a lot of stuff with that. We have a specific focus on operational technology, cybersecurity. We've got 2 new cybersecurity trainers and a portable operational technology cyber trainer as well that we take around, or we're going to take around to companies to assist their OT engineers in learning cybersecurity. So I jotted down a couple things. So security mindset is one of the things that they can expect in the classroom. And that's sort of on threat-based approach, where we look at our enemies and see what the people or the bad actors are doing. And then we try to make sure that we defend based on that. We don't just want to have a generic, because if you build a 10-foot wall or a 10-meter wall, then the bad person's going to go out and get an 11-meter ladder and climb over your wall. So you have to understand, how those folks think. And then again, the project-based learning, I think, is probably one of the most important things, because that gives students hands-on experience, and that hands-on experience is what employers typically are looking for. We also offer certifications. We have some EC Council certifications that we offer, CEH, Certified Ethical Hacker. There's a couple forensic certifications that we offer, and we also offer the CompTIA certifications. We're partners with both of those folks. So students have the opportunity to get a certification, if they're choosing while they're here as well. So
this certification is a part of their program, or they do
it's actually built into a couple different classes. Yes. So Security Plus from CompTIA, that's built into our information security course. And then the senior seminar that I teach is going to be the computer hacking and forensic investigation cert. And then the penetration testing course has the CEH built into it. So yeah, they could feasibly leave with 3 or 4 different certifications.
Okay, thank you very much. That was a very extensive, comprehensive answer. Any one of you would like to take this question, which Rohan asked, that is there any possibility of a non-technical student to join any of the program?
I think that's what Scott was just talking about, that we do not have any prerequisite for this particular program. So Scott, maybe you can explain it once again for this student.
Okay. Yeah. So you don't have to be extremely technical. You don't have to have even owned a computer before you come into the course, because the important thing is understanding the security field as a whole. And again, that gets back to that holistic approach that we talked about. We're going to teach you the technical skills that you need to know to do this. So we kind of have a 4-pillar system. We base it on risk, threats, and then we have the legal policy side, and then your cyber technical skills, and then the mitigation response side. And that sort of is with cybersecurity in the middle. Imagine those 4 things sort of revolving around it. And that's kind of our approach to the program. So I upset some of my computer science friends sometimes when I say that you don't need a computer science or engineering degree to do this job. There's plenty of areas for folks that maybe aren't that technical. And then the last thing I'll add is, if you look up the 4 or 5 greatest hackers in history, none of them had a computer science or an engineering degree either. So.
Okay, that's the best way to answer, Rohan. Rohan, I'm sure that you've got your answers clear, and many other students would also had the similar questions, and then they would have had their answers. Thank you, Scott. Okay, on this note, let's move further. Just I'm requesting, if anyone has got any device whereby you are live on to Facebook, and also it may disturb the voice quality, so please just have a look at it. My speakers, I'm requesting you. Jaipal, just recently in 2020, LinkedIn said that among the emerging jobs of 2020 report published by LinkedIn, cybersecurity was on the top priority for India. And that speaks a volume about the future growth and the requirement, the current requirement. And in fact, it has been estimated that 67,000 jobs are opening up in cybersecurity, threat management, and network security. As a student, when he is looking at this prosperity and prospects of this industry, what how can you explain it in a simplified manner, that what would be the first step into the industry when the student graduates, and how does he look at India market from a professional point of view? Where does he start from?
Yeah, yeah. So once a student graduates, there could be different streams that he can actually adopt. I'm saying to start with, fundamentally, whether he loves selling or does he like actually delivering cybersecurity. Because even for us, selling also requires capabilities around a fairly good understanding of security. But I presume if you're actually going through the university and you're doing a lot of hands-on stuff, probably you may want to kind of get into delivery to start with. But I meant delivery, I mean, it could be around technologies. There are a whole lot of technologies around cybersecurity. It could be specific technologies like your firewalls, your IDS, proxies, and your cloud devices, and all those are hundreds of devices. And so you look at a Gartner report, you'll find so many devices, so many technologies that are coming up. So the student could actually start focusing on specific areas. If it comes to and companies like Palladian and Atos and many other companies which are the similar nature, you will have different streams that they actually offer. One is, of course, around your threat management, which you just quoted in the LinkedIn thing. So threat management is where you actually detect threats that are actually coming at the organization. So you get a lot of specific training around that, and how do you actually use technologies to actually do that, deliver that entire service. Then you have various areas around your testing side of things, around application testing and network testing. So all these are areas that are required because there are a lot of regulatory requirements to actually test and do whatever various things. So that's another area. And as you kind of spend time in the industry, you get to into things like your advisory and consulting services, which requires you to have a fair degree of understanding of a lot of things. Could be having got your hands and feet wet in doing certain things, and then saying that, okay, this is the ideal way of proceeding for an enterprise, specific areas of advisories that you may actually give to companies. So these are three different areas. Then, of course, there are in each one there are specializations. You have under threat analysis. You have threat hunters, for example, which requires for having very investigative mind and trying to piece together a lot of information. So as you progress, and so there's a clear progression that you can actually see in the industry. So the path is fairly well laid out. I'm saying for people who are strong, smart, who are willing to actually put that extra effort out there to ensure that they come out better. So there's clearly a lot of opportunity. Salaries wise, if you ask me, I think the industry pays well. Let me put it that way. I'm saying if you're worth your salt, I think the industry really pays well, and it's just a question of staying focused. But my humble advice to students is do not go after salary for the first couple of years. I'm saying I know there is pressure because you would have obviously kind of taken on probably some loans or any of those kind of stuff to complete your education. But for the first few years, stay very focused on learning things. I'm saying what you learned in university is very, very important. It sets the ground for the whole thing. But what you learn on the job with enterprises and all the stuff is actually what helps you, kind of, it's cast in stone kind of stuff. So you have to stay focused. If you're not getting any learning from that experience, move out. But don't let salary drive that entire decision to stay in a job or move out. There's a whole lot of opportunity. I'm saying I've seen the number of people who move just because I'm saying they get a lot of, I'm saying the salary that are available are that are given to them are quite large. As long as they're good at what they do, there is a demand for them.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jaipal. Thank you for very, very satisfactory answer. I'm sure that students have got a very important point out of your answer, that salary should not be the motive. Definitely, the industry pays you well, but focus on to one area, the structure, the layout, and the progression path is already being charted out pretty decently by the industry. So you need not to worry about it, but just focus into the area where you have got the interest to build up your career. Thank you, Jaipal. So let's move to Pallavi. Pallavi, how's the fees scenario looks like, and is any scholarship which has been offered by the university at this point of time?
Yes, Aslam, we are considered one of the most affordable schools in the US. I mean, from the overall perspective, we do give scholarships to the undergrad and grad students both. It largely depends on their merit. So, in the US terminology, it's a merit-based scholarship that we provide. So, it depends on their GPA at the grade 12 or at the graduation or the undergrad degree that they own from India for the grad students, respectively. It ranges as per the GPA, so we can provide you detailed information later on. But just to give you an idea, it starts from $6,000, it goes up to $14,000 for our undergrad students, and each year. If the student really maintains the GPA each year, they can expect the same scholarship the next year as well. For the grad students, however, we are pretty low on fees. So the scholarship starts from $1,500. It goes up to $4,000 depending on their merit. So there are different levels of scholarships based on their grades. So that's how the scholarship works for the students. For the undergrad students, however, we are also NCAA Region 2 school, which means we give the credibility to the student athletes. So a lot of student athletes actually get those kind of scholarships in addition to the merit-based scholarships as well, which we, in general call as the talent-based scholarship. So if you have any, if the students have any credential in the area of sports, arts, or performance, then of course they can simply apply for the talent-based scholarship as well.
Okay.
But that's only for the undergrad students.
Okay. So, friends, so you have got pretty decent options available at the university in terms of scholarships, which is there in front of you. I've just noted it down what Pallavi has said. So you have got sports scholarship also, which is a good sign because nowadays a lot of students are very active in sports and they do say that, okay, we are not good in grades, but what about our sports certificates and sports involvement? And that's a good news from the university that is being taken care of in order to support your idea of going abroad at this university. So thank you, Pallavi, for this. Let's move to Scott. Scott, is there any opportunity for the students from the internships or OPT point of view? Because a lot of students ask this question.
Right. So internships are one of the pillars of the cyber program and pretty much all of our programs at Tiffin University. We've had students go do internships at Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 100 companies, the U.S. government, various different agencies in that, local businesses. And for the foreign students, depending on the type of visa, sometimes it's difficult to get a paid internship working for maybe a private company. But one of the things Tiffin does offer is placing our cybersecurity students in the actual IT help desk area at Tiffin University. So they actually work for the university and they do some cybersecurity stuff and they do typical help desk things, to help users have a good experience, anywhere from imaging machines to investigating incidents. So that's one of the things that we do, which is kind of creative. And then the final thing that we do is center director, I have the ability to allow students to work on various projects. So we've worked on projects with the Maritime Transportation System, ISAC, the Coast Guard, DHS, a couple of different Fortune 500 companies. So I get them focused on very real world problems. So they have that experience. So when JPAL goes to hire them, they can say, well, look, I did this, that, and the other thing. And, they'll be able to do that. So I try really hard to make sure that our international students, especially, have opportunities that maybe they wouldn't be able to get based on visa, but we're able to work around that based on the position of the university. So.
Okay, that's really great to know, Scott. So what Scott is mentioning is that you may have a chance to do the internship, but also since the entire program is project-based learning, you get a live projects to work with these designated departments where the Scots team can help you to get the projects and to work onto them, and then that can be an asset to your profile when you graduates and are looking for a full-time career. So
right.
That's
can I add one more thing real quick? I'm sorry. I meant to add this. So, if a student is from India and they want to do an internship, with ATOS, then we would certainly allow that. They could do that. And there's an internship supervisor, which would typically be me for cyber. I would just be in contact with, maybe with JPAL or whoever's in charge of the program, and the student could do their internship, if they went home for the summer or something too. So certainly we have the ability to do that. I've done that with several Saudi students as well. So it's not just limited to the U.S. to do internships. You can also do them internationally. Sorry
That's
about
a
that.
good idea. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a good, valid points. And if Jaipal company is open to have a students as an intern during the summer break, so that would be a fantastic opportunity for the students as well to make use of their summer vacation and do something which is meaningful back in India. So I was just about to turn to Jaipal only. Jaipal, so how do you see, luckily these points Scott raised, and that's also very well connected with my next question, is that what's the significance of students studying from university like Tiffin or any other university in abroad and coming back to India and looking for a careers? How does industry look at this kind of experience, exposure, and the degree which they carry with you?
Yeah. So while over the last many years that we've been actually recruiting people, good guys. I'm saying in India we've got some real talented bunch of guys. But I think what universities like Tiffin offer is something which is, it helps the students get very rooted in concepts. If you see a majority of the guys that we recruit here, these guys have actually done either a computer engineering or a network engineering, and then they kind of come to us, and then we need to kind of, or they do some certification around CEH or any of those things, and then they kind of move into cybersecurity. But something like what Tiffin is offering will ensure that they're all rooted in concepts, which is very, very critical as you move forward and things. So that is a big difference that students will have in case they kind of come out of university like Tiffin. And I think the quality also will accordingly be different. Is my that's what I would look at. And I think as they move forward, their ability to kind of command better salaries and all the stuff will keep improving. It's all a factor of all of that. Your education, where have you passed out of, how many years have you spent around it, and so all that will really matter as you move forward. So I think it really makes a big difference.
Okay, great.
Getting an international degree. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you, Jaipal. So students, that's what Jaipal has to say on behalf of the industry, that if you have got the focus approach in terms of having, rather than having a generic computer engineering degree, if you have a focused degree coming from cybersecurity from a good university, the industry would give more weightage, more importance, and you may have a better prospects in terms of not only getting into job, but also progressing into this particular exciting field. Thank you, Jaipal. So let's move to the last question, which I always call to my audience. It's a $1 million question, and to ask to our speakers, and let's hear from them. So, Scott, the $1 million questions to coming to you is that what's your one line success as advice to our students?
So I'm a sports enthusiast. So mine kind of comes from the world of sports. So it's a Wayne Gretzky quote, I think: "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take."
Okay.
So that's so if you don't try, you're not going to succeed, basically.
Absolutely right. So you keep on trying. Failing is a part of a trying, but you keep on trying, until you get success. That's very well said. Thank you, Scott. Jaipal, your one line success advice to our students.
I think what I would kind of advise, if I may, students is, one is, of course, stay very focused, and so you have to be a continuous learner to actually stay in this entire field, because every day is a new day, and the technologies, everything keeps changing. So you got to be a continuous learner, and also look out for cross-functional training. And so that's important. You can't say that I just want to stick to one single business. Like I said, if ideally a mix of industrial engineering plus cybersecurity is great, and so you need to look at going little sideways and trying to understand what additional capabilities can I actually have. And that's what brings in value to every student.
Wow, I think you made a very, very interesting point. And this is what usually the students ask this question for. So they usually come from a different industry background, different engineering background, and they want to cross-check with the acceptability of doing something different than what they come from. And they want to see, can we be more relevant by doing this course? And when the industry will accept us, by having a different bachelor degree. But what you rightly said is that, friends, if you're listening to Jaipal clearly, if you are coming from a different background, and the university also said that they are open to have the students from other background too to come to the master's program. So I think that it could be a good, interesting combinations rather than just sticking to one particular line. And what he said very clearly is that stay focused and keep on inventing and learning, because learning should never stop. Thank you, Jaipal, for the words of wisdom coming from your side. And let's move to Pallavi. Pallavi, you've been many years in this industry. You see the India and US, both the sides. So what's your one-line success advice to students?
Well, first of all, it's very unfair to ask an advisor to give just one advice. That's very, very unfair. But anyways, see, I personally believe in the right field, and for the students, I would advise them to find that right fit. It's a very cautious advice. You're spending a lot of money if you're coming to any international borders for the education. Please use every penny wisely, because that's very, very important. The second advice I would say is that be a little open to the changes, because change is the only constant, and that is what the students should keep in mind always.
Right. Thank you very much. So, friends, be wise while taking a decision and open to the changes. And in case if you need our help, so this is the information in front of you. We help the students to identify their strengths, their weaknesses, their personality type, in order to help you to match with the right program if you are confused about which program to choose. So do contact us, and we'll be more than happy to help you out to find out the right career options for yourself. So thank you very much, all the speakers, for your words of wisdom and insight, and a very interesting insight sharing onto this particular subject. And I would also like to thank all of our viewers who would spend our time on a different channel. So we were luckily this is today first time ever we went live on LinkedIn. We've been trying to go on LinkedIn Live, and they have got their protocols, and they take a lot of time to allow it. So congratulations to Team Aleph, and thank you, speakers. You've been very lucky for us to take this session live onto LinkedIn also, and I'm hopeful that many more the subscribers have been added to this particular program. So, friends, if you have any question further onto this particular topic, please feel free to contact us on our helpline number, which is in front of you, 99870 99890, or you can write to us an email, info@alif.in, and our experienced counselor will be happy to help you instantly. My name is Aslam Sheikh, founder and CEO of Alif, signing off with a promise to come back again next week at sharp 5 p.m. with another interesting topic and some amazingly talented speaker enlightening us on a subject that is mattered to you the most. Until then, thank you very much for watching the program. Stay safe and stay excited.